Sveiki, mėly Delfi portalo skaitytojai ir žiūrovai. Su jumis ir vėl sveikinasi Login konferencijos tinklalaidė. Visai neseniai Login konferencija praūžė rekordinių kiekių pranešėjų, virš 300 pranešėjų ir turinio vienetų. Tikiu, kad tokį milžinišką kiekį sudėtinga, ko gero, buvo pamatyti gyvai konferencijos metu, bet nesijaudinkite. Visus pranešimus ir diskusijų įrašus galite rasti adresu konferencija.login.lt. O mes mūsų tinklalaidėje ir toliau kalbiname Login pranešėjus ir kalbamės Login temomis. Ir be abejonės, dirbtinio intelekto tema buvo kaip niekad karšta šiemet. Tad mes apie ją ir pakalbėsime ir kogi mums laukti iš apskritai dirbtinio intelekto industrijos ir džiaugiuosi galėdamas nuotoliniu būdu pasisveikinti su mūsų pašnekovu. Tai yra Accenture inovacijų vadovas Marks Petrovs. Hello, Marks.
Hello.
It's great having you and thanks for connecting. I would like to take a topic of AI a little bit further. And we have seen many examples for the past, for recent years, how AI was used for unleashing human potential and creativity. You personally, as a lead of innovation at Accenture, how do you see this industry, and what are maybe the most shocking examples that you have seen how the human potential and creativity was unleashed with the help of AI?
I can talk about this for hours and for ages. The thing is, AI is around for some time already. It's not something new, actually. And a lot of things, a lot of services, like you can imagine Google, with YouTube and so on, they use quite a lot of different AI solutions for their purpose. And people never know about this. So it's there and it's around. Now, when we have, let's say, or had this start now of this conversation. So first thing that had actually came to my mind. So yeah, we're neighbors, of course. I mean, Lithuania, but our languages, although they have some similarities, still quite differ a lot. And I wouldn't say that I understood everything. I still understood quite a lot what we were talking about. But the thing is, what AI can bring to us, and definitely will bring in the future, that we can easily speak our own language and doesn't have to switch, for instance, for English then, because we can have native translation on the go. And it will be a lot easier to communicate between the people because we don't have to switch to a foreign language. We can use our own. And of course, I will be hearing you speaking Latvian. You will be hearing me speaking Lithuanian, seamlessly and without any interruptions. I guess this is a very good example of how AI will change in future, at least what kind of nice benefits it will bring to the general user that perhaps is not that much into the heavy backend services that AI uses, let's say, nowadays. So this is a nice and fine example how things will change for us.
So does it mean that we will not have any translators anymore? And I mean, it doesn't make sense to learn new languages. How will the future look like?
No, I would say that, of course, it always makes sense to learn new language because this is a skill, this is a knowledge, and it has certain needs and benefits. But again, for the general public, you can usually, so there will be translators, but there will be new AI-driven translators, which will allow for the general people that perhaps doesn't necessarily have to know a specific language you are not day-to-day talking about. So, as I said, English perhaps is a standard example. Everybody knows that. But if you have to speak to, for instance, a Spanish person, so for whatever reasons, like is it business or just leisure, it's very unlikely that a lot of people would know Spanish just because it's not, let's say, common used in our region. However, there is the need of it. And you can use these services to do this interaction and speaking to the people without, say, having that much issues. But I would say that it is a personal choice of everyone, whether they would want to learn the language, get the skills, or still can use the service. So it's comparable sample is mathematics. So a lot of tools nowadays can basically do the calculation for you, but still it is an essential skill if you need to do a lot of professions nowadays, including also the programming stuff or IT in general. So you have still to learn that.
Mm-hmm. That sounds truly exciting. I mean, it's even hard to imagine. But what do you think? Will AI eventually stop growing? I mean, there was exponential growth for the past probably decade, I would say. Will it eventually become like a software, more of a like, or will it still continue growing? And I don't know what awaits us then. Maybe the Terminator was right.
No, I would tell that we had actually discussed among the colleagues the Terminator stuff yesterday. Occasion. So we agreed on one thing: the Terminator and the Skynet will never happen, and only because it's too expensive. So nobody gonna pay for this. But to be honest, regards the growth and like a software, I would still consider AI is a software and still working and still expanding. It will, I would say that it will stop, but it will transform in something other. For the past decade, I would say AI basically moved from a niche one task solution to something more complex. And there is still, I would say, very long way to go for it to become like we believe, or at least a lot of people think of AI nowadays. Like it is a self-sufficient, self-living, self-learning mechanism that's just like evolving. But it's, of course, not the case. It's a bit smarter than just one single task. It's capable of doing some more, multiple tasks, without, say, being specifically trained for those, but still not more than that. So it's still a tool that we use and apply only for circumstances or solutions where it requires to.
Marks, what do you think, which industries will be affected most by AI, especially nowadays and if we're looking into the future? So we have discussed that maybe translators might be, there might be some changes, but on the other hand, we will still probably have translators. And how is it with all the developers? Because, basically AI can actually code and do quite a lot of stuff. So especially for those who are in junior position, so will it be harder to become a programmer because it will be harder to become a junior developer in that sense?
I don't agree to this. So the only thing, or the one thing usually people tend to miss about is that the scale and the size, how much we need nowadays new code, is just the same, exponentially growing. Let's say previously you could build one application that would serve a lot of people, and that's it. Now you expect a lot more, which means that there is even bigger need for developers to build this software and write this code. Another thing, again, people maybe tend to forget is that the software developers are not the only, let's say, consumers of generative AI and AI in general. Everybody does. And if we see what's the landscape or what are the people working for a company, I mean, from occupation perspective, like IT people, business people, and a lot others. So we can tell that perhaps IT group is something like 10% of the overall roster, and all the rest is people doing something else. And I do believe that actually the effect on a company will be significantly more outside of the IT side, because the IT people use nowadays mainly code generation, which is only one aspect of generative AI, for instance. It allows it to be faster to create it for junior people to do more complex work that they, let's say, perhaps couldn't do without the support. But in essence, this just by helping them out to develop faster and more complex code than they otherwise wouldn't be possible. But all the other people within the organization are as well, I wouldn't say affected, but enhanced by the capabilities of AI. And the impact on the overall, let's say, work that the company would develop or the people would be doing would be significantly more outside of the general IT stuff or general IT landscape that and work that people are doing. So not just code generation, it's actually everything we can do. And also not say automate, but make it more productive, more qualitative, and more creative for the people.
Marks, I know that our viewers, they always like some success stories from real life cases. Can you share maybe, if it's possible, some of the Accenture's work with AI that has highlighted its potential to drive innovation and maybe solve complex tasks?
Again, of course, a lot of samples, and Accenture's IT company, obviously, we do software, we develop software. A lot of these things, which help us developing AI or which are AI products are not that much visible to end customers and people and wouldn't tell them anything if they're not, let's say, within the industry itself. But perhaps good samples are where AI is definitely helping out the people in the medical industry. So there are a lot of, let's say, cases and scenarios explaining during the COVID times how quickly the vaccine was developed and how qualitative it was made. So this was also partially with the help of AI software, AI solutions that helped to analyze the things, test it out, and helped scientists and the medics basically come to the right conclusions. So I guess this is the best and the closest sample that everybody would say be keen in understanding.
Marks, our time is running short, unfortunately, but finally, I still have to ask this question, but with the rapid development of AI, what are some ethical considerations that companies and, well, even maybe governments should consider to ensure that AI benefits the society? What would be those ethical considerations and maybe, I don't know, rules, some kind of set of boundaries?
That's a good point, and that's actually a very good sample where people are starting to understand the impact of AI to everybody. I mean, from the sense that we never had that quickly developed rules, guidelines, and instructions for one specific technology as it is happening nowadays. So with the Gen AI, within half a year, I would say, even less than that. So the European Union or global society already came up with a set of expectations, set of rules, and compliances that AI solutions, generative AI solutions should follow and need to follow in order to, let's say, ensure this safe environment for everybody to use of this. Of course, there are multiple aspects in regards, let's say, securing AI and making it, let's say, reducing the danger that are still associated with this, because there is the aspect that AI, for instance, is still not that smart to identify, let's say, who is asking, what's the use case, and can still provide maybe not correct, not necessarily needed information to a, let's say, person, which could have an effect. This is one thing that is very important to track. So what kind of information we are getting back. But of course, the other aspect is how AI is used. And I mean, there are a lot of news nowadays how people tend to use the generative AI part for, let's say, some negative scenarios, basically, for deep fake videos, so to manipulate the mass media or use them for some sort of hacker attacks. Of course, this is the other aspect, how that could be used. But it's less perhaps to the technology, but more for the people, so that everybody is aware of the capabilities. That said, it's good that we're very rapidly developing those practices, those instructions and guidelines that everybody has to follow. And I know that now also the European Union released and the roadmap when and how certain aspects will be then becoming live, and so everybody has to follow that.
And that's probably great news for us and for future society, that we're safe in this sense, and we can use the potential of AI to the fullest. Thank you. Thank you, Marks, for being today with us, for joining virtually to our studio. And I will now switch to Lithuanian ir priminsiu žiūrovams, kad šiandien bendravome su Accenture inovacijų vadovu Marks Petrovs. Tai buvo tiek šiandieną, o mes susitiksime kitose mūsų login tinklalaidėse, kur kalbinsime login pranešėjus, pašnekovus ir kalbėsime login temomis, kurių yra neišsenkama galybė. Tad laukia dar tikrai daug įdomaus turinio. Likite su Delfi. Iki.